Yes, it's Super Bowl Sunday, and no, I'm not here to spark a discussion about what Aubrey Plaza is really talking about in that Mountain Dew Blast ad, or try to convince you that it might still be Cleveland's year. I'm going to stay in my tech and tech adjacent lane and make a movie recommendation, either for tonight for those of you who don't give a damn about either the foot or the balls, or for later when you want to poke the bear of your seasonal affective disorder with a double dose of AI dystopia. I'm here to recommend a two-movie double feature on the theme of artificial intelligence. The first is Colossus, the Forbin Project, released in 1970, and the second is AlphaGo, a documentary released in 2017. I want to thank OCG viewers John Brown and Sonic Rez for pointing me to Colossus, which they both mentioned in comments on my recent Google Bruv video about dueling AIs. Now, I definitely don't want to become a guy who summarizes shit so you don't have to read it or watch it yourself. In full transparency, if that's what our relationship becomes, I'm going to exaggerate, misrepresent, and flat out lie sometimes, so there will be no winners. I'd really rather be doing a discussion group on these movies to hear your thoughts after you've watched them, and I don't want to spoil them or tamper with your perspective before you've watched them. But that said, I'd like to call out a few things I think are interesting. My purpose behind connecting these two movies is to juxtapose the fictional and completely speculative thinking about future AI from Colossus with some actual AI from almost 50 years later in AlphaGo. For the Colossus movie, it's important to try to put yourself in the minds of the creators and original audience. In a glorious era when plastics could do no harm and personal technology was limited to big cathode ray TVs and landline phones, those people were totally guessing what real AI tech might someday look like. If we told them what we could do with our globally interconnected, pocket-sized devices, they would immediately start shitting each other's pants. I'd also like to call your attention to how gender is represented in both movies. Sure, so there's basically one key lady on the tech team in 1970, and sure, one of her contributions is to be believable to the AI as someone who the male inventor of the AI would want to be sexually serviced by. But there are actually a lot more women on the 1970 Colossus tech team than in the real DeepMind AlphaGo tech team 47 years later, and the 1970 tech team women had way more lines. I can't believe I need to say this out loud, but yes, I realize a single-purpose neural network that can play Go really well is probably not going to subjugate humanity under autocratic rule. I'll leave it to you to speculate for yourself as to why I might think these two things can be connected, but I'll give you the hint that it's not because the two things are precisely the same. My final viewing tip is to watch for the point in AlphaGo where Lee Sedol realizes he's representing all of humanity. The movie was made by DeepMind, so the AlphaGo team is presented as the hero. But at the macro level, if we're rooting for Team Humanity, that moment is one of the heaviest and most poignant things I've ever seen. I recommend doing a little post-view reading about both the evolution of AlphaGo and Mr. Sedol's activities after the events covered in the movie. As a somewhat resigned long-term AI doomerist, I'm printing a bunch of Lee Sedol new t-shirts that I can trade for water in the post-apocalypse. Budget-conscious content consumers, good news. These can both be streamed for free. The AlphaGo documentary is on YouTube, and the only place I've been able to find Colossus not on a Betamax tape is on Vimeo, thanks to a copyright-infringing hero. Now I'm going to toss a 10-pound meatloaf into the deep fryer, roll a ranch dressing barrel into the living room, and get ready to see if I won my $200 bet that Taylor Swift bought every seat in Allegiant Stadium and is going to watch the game totally alone, because she gives no fucks, and she can.